The next part that we need is another right angle beam. It's similar to this one, but it doesn't have the diagonal corner there, and it's not quite as complex. But what we can do is actually use that original part as a starting point and just make some changes for this new part. So let's open that original corner beam part. You can either click on it in the assembly and press open part, or you can just open it directly. Before we make any changes, we're going to resave this part as a new part. To do this, we need to go to File, Save As. At this stage, you might get a pop-up like this. We want to choose Save As Copy and Open. This will save the part as a copy, so we'll keep the original part, and then it will open the new file so we can edit it. So select Save As Copy and Open. Now if you don't get this pop-up, don't worry, you can just open the usual Save As box, and then we can select Save As Copy and Open from down here on the left. It's the exact same option. So we want to change the name of this from corner beam to something like right angle beam. Let's change it to 4x2 because it's got 4 holes along the bottom and 2 at the side. So before you press OK, just double check that you've got Save As Copy and Open selected here so that we don't save over the original part. Then you can press save, and when we go back into the part, you should see the file name at the top now says right angle beam 4x2. You may also get a pop-up asking if you want to keep the original document open. This is up to you. I'm going to close it in this case, just so we don't get confused and make changes to the wrong one by mistake. We can now edit this part and we can make changes to create the new part that we need. The first thing that I'm going to do is drag the rollback bar up to the first feature. You can do this by hovering over this blue bar at the bottom of all the features, so you get this little hand symbol, and then left clicking and dragging and moving that bar up. So let's drag it all the way up to below that first feature, the beam feature. So this moves us back to that first feature in the model. We can now edit that first feature, and we're going to edit the sketch that underlies the feature and makes up the feature. To do this, click on the feature in the design tree and then choose Edit Sketch. So if we look at the sketch here, we can remove a lot of the detail and we can adjust it so it suits that new part. So let's start deleting the areas that we no longer need. So we don't need this slot here on the right hand side. We also don't need those circles, and we don't need this slot here as well. We can change this angle from 135 degrees to 90 degrees, and that will give us that right angle edge. And then we can use Smart Dimension to re-add some dimensions in. So we need to add 8mm between these 2 holes on the right, and we can see that we've lost either the dimension or the relation that fixes the size of this hole. So we can select that circle, and then we can select the original circle, and we can make those both equal. So this is looking almost correct now. The sketch is fully defined again. It's just that bottom edge is too long. It has 7 holes, and we only need it to have 4 holes. If you remember back to that early video, we added all these extra holes by using a pattern. So we can edit the number of holes in that pattern. And to do this, have a look around the pattern, and you should see a number 7 somewhere. That indicates those 7 circles that we patterned. If you can't see that number anywhere, you can just click on any of the patterned entities, so any of the circles, and then you can right click up here where it says patterned, and you can press edit pattern, and then we can adjust the pattern there. But a much easier way is just to find that number, the number of instances in the pattern, and then double click on it, and I'm going to change it from 7 down to 4. So now we can see we've only got 4 circles on the bottom there instead of 7. We've also lost that relation on the right hand side of the slot. So I'm going to zoom in, I'm going to grab the center point of that slot, and I'm going to drag it in so it's concentric with that right hand circle. And that should fully define your sketch. So now we have the profile that we need to create this new part. Now that was probably only a little bit faster than drawing it out from scratch, but we've actually got all the other features already in the model that we can reuse as well. So it's going to save us time there. So now let's exit the sketch, and we should have something that looks like this. So we should have these 4 holes, and then on the left hand side here, it should be filled in because that's where the cross hole is going to be. The next thing we can do is move down 1 step. So let's grab the rollback bar again. So left click and drag it down 1 step so it's beneath that axle cut feature. And we can see that we've added in that axle cut without any extra work. So we don't have to redraw all of that shape and cut it all out correctly. However, if you look here on the left, we can see we've got some kind of warning symbol on that feature. And if you expand that feature, we can see the warning is on the sketch. If we hover over the sketch, it says unable to offset 1 or more sketch entities. So let's edit the sketch and see what the problem is. Now, if we look at the sketch, we can clearly see the problem is because we deleted that profile section on the right, this part of the sketch here on the right has lost all of its references. And you can see some of the colors there are that kind of greeny brown color, which indicates a missing reference. The good thing is we don't actually need that part of the sketch on the right, so we can just drag a box around it and we can delete it. So all we need is this part of the sketch on the left, and then we can exit the sketch, and now we no longer have any error messages there. Now we can go down one more feature, so drag the rollback bar down again. So again, we've added in those hole surrounds, but we've still got some kind of error on the feature. So again, let's edit the sketch that underlies the feature and see where the problem is. And as with the previous sketch, we can see because we've deleted some of that extra profile, we've got some parts in the sketch which are referencing things that no longer exist. So we can just delete all of these extra entities here on the right. We no longer need them. If you find that your sketch turns blue and becomes underdefined like this, you might just need to use the Smart Dimension tool to add in some dimensions to fully define the sketch again. And then when you're happy, you can exit the sketch and you can see we've no longer got any errors on that feature. The next feature is the cavity cut, so drag down again, and we can see something's gone wrong here. This one isn't quite right. Expand the feature, and let's edit the sketch underneath it and see what the problem is with this one. So firstly, let's delete all of these extra entities that we don't need on the right, and then let's zoom in and see what's going on with those remaining entities. So I've lost some relations and dimensions here. I'm going to use Smart Dimension to re-add in the distance of this line here on the right. And I'm going to add in a distance for these circles as well, and that fully defines the sketch. Then if we take a close look at the part, it's actually slightly different to that other beam. Some of the areas around the cavity are a little bit thicker than the other part. So I'm going to delete that line here, and then I'm going to offset the edge again, but this time is 1.3 instead of 1 millimeter. And then you'll just need to drag the bottom of the line down so it hits the circle here. For this horizontal line, we can drag it over to the left-hand side so it's out of the way. And then let's finally add another offset line from this horizontal line. This one is also 1.3. And then just drag the right-hand side of the line over so it hits that circle. So the walls are just a little bit thicker around the inside of that right angle bend, just to avoid the two cavities merging into each other. You should end up with something like this. It's a little bit of a messy sketch, but we can exit the sketch now and see how it works. If we look around in 3D, we can see that that feature really hasn't worked properly. So what we need to do now is edit the feature itself and select which areas we want to cut out. Click on the cavity cut feature and press edit feature. And let's just completely clear all of these areas in the selected contours. So right click somewhere in that box and press clear selections. Then let's re-choose the areas we want to cut out. So we've got this one here, we've got this one here, and then we've got this one here. And also that small section at the top. The depth of the cut is the same as before, 3 millimeters. So press OK, and those new cavities are cut. And it should look something like this. We can then drag down again to add the fillets back in. And again, on the feature, we've got a warning. So this time, let's edit the feature. And we can see we've got some missing edges there from where we've taken out the previous cavities. So we can remove those missing edges, and then we can re-add in the ones that we're missing. So in total, there should be 12 different edges. It should look like this. And then when you're happy, press OK. Next, let's drag down below the mirror feature. And that all seems to have worked correctly. If we spin the part around, we can see we've mirrored everything onto the other side correctly. So finally, let's drag down below the final fillet feature. And we've got a final error because we're missing some edges from the cross shape that we cut out on the right-hand side. So edit the fillet feature, and let's just right-click and press clear all missing references. Then you can press OK, and your part should be finished. And there we have our new right angle beam. It's a lot faster than making that original one because we could change all those features. Let's go into the Appearance, Scenes and Decals tab, and let's set the color as a dark gray or a black. This part is now finished, so you can save the part. And in the next video, we've just got one more simple part to make, and then we can move on to stage 2 of the assembly.